95th minute at Stamford Bridge. The match is locked at 1-1. Enzo Fernández whips across toward the back post, and out of nowhere, an 18-year-old explodes into view. Estevão Willian meets the ball in stride, side-footing it past Alisson. The roof nearly comes off the bridge as teammates swarm him. No wild celebration, just a calm smile, the look of someone who expected this.
Talking about personality in key moments of games in which he gets the ball, he's facing up defenders, and he's not afraid of the moment. That's personality.
A week later, in Seoul, he does it again. 2 goals for Brazil in a 5-minute demolition of South Korea. Suddenly, the question is everywhere. How did the kid everyone overlooked become the one nobody can stop talking about?
I've watched clips of him when he was in Brazil and was really impressed. He's got a huge reputation over there. He's the next one in line to light up the stage, the world stage. I think coming in the game today, you could see the confidence he has in one-on-one situations, manipulating the ball. He's got tricks in his artillery, step overs, you name it, he can do it. You see the nice little delicate pass through there, and he's got an eye for goal. That's what I really like about him.
To understand that moment, we need to go back to França, a quiet city in Sao Paulo state, better known for shoes than football. That's where a 6-year-old Estevao spent entire afternoons on dusty streets, dodging potholes and motorbikes instead of defenders. By 10, Palmeiras had spotted him. Within months, he was in their academy, battling kids older and stronger. They nicknamed him Messinho for his stature and his left foot, a comparison that brought more pressure than praise. Endrick, the other Palmeiras prodigy, drew all the cameras. Estevao watched as journalists filled pages about his teammate while he trained in silence. Scouts noticed something different though, how he'd read the rhythm of the game, not just its noise. His rise wasn't painted on Instagram clips or headlines, it was built on repetition. While others celebrated turning up at youth tournaments, Estevao was studying angles, how to shift the ball half a meter and open up space for a shot. Chelsea's scouting network had been watching quietly. When competition came from Real Madrid, PSG and Bayern, they moved fast, paying roughly £29 million to secure him before his 18th birthday.
Estêvão Willian, Almeida de Oliveira Gonçalves, sou de Franca, interior de São Paulo.
What they found in London shocked them. No samba bravado, no entourage, just a teenager who barely spoke English but learned tactics through observation. Coaches at Cobham still talk about his first month. Every drill executed perfectly, every instruction followed like he'd been doing it for years. The Brazilian showman stereotype didn't fit him. Estevao was the quiet genius who let his touches speak, and what came next in blue changed how people talked about him entirely. His real introduction came on the global stage, December 2024, the Club World Cup, Palmeiras vs Europe's champions. Twice named player of the match, Estevao sliced through defenders like he'd been doing it his whole life. Against Chelsea, he glided past Cucurella on the right flank, cut inside and buried a shot that left the keeper motionless. For Chelsea's scouts watching in the stands, it was confirmation. They had to bring him to England. Fast forward to his Premier League debut. He came off the bench with 20 minutes to play. The atmosphere changed instantly. His first touch drew a foul. His second created an assist for Enzo Fernández. That made him the youngest player in modern club history to record a Premier League assist. And within weeks, he scored 2.
Here's Estevao now, still going, and across and in! Enzo Fernández!
Joining a list that hadn't featured anyone his age since the early 2000s. For manager Enzo Maresca, he wasn't just another winger, he was a system on his own. Maresca's Chelsea builds play through rhythm and control, and Estevao understood tempo better than anyone. One moment he'd slow the play, forcing defenders to step forward. The next, he'd accelerate through the gap they left. Defenders couldn't predict if he'd go wide, cut inside, or thread a pass behind them. The example everyone points to came in that 3-1 win over West Ham. Receiving with his back to goal, he played a one-touch wall pass, spun, and ghosted past his marker. There was no panic, no frantic feet, just timing. A tiny swivel of the hips freed half a meter of space, enough to drive a low cross into the box. Enzo finished, but the move belonged to Estevao. That play summed up his biggest weapon, decision-making. At 17, he already knew when to slow down, when to burst, and when to pass. Then came October 4th, 2025, Liverpool at Stamford Bridge.
Time in London last weekend. Here's Cucurella, right across for Estevao!
90 minutes of chaos, Maresca's side missing half their first 11. Liverpool pressed high, Salah failing to track back, gaps opening everywhere. In stoppage time, Cucurella surged down the left, delivered the cross, and Estevao arrived at exactly the right moment. He didn't flinch, didn't overhit it, just side-footed it low and precise. Stamford Bridge erupted, the bench emptied, and yet, amid the frenzy, Estevao simply lifted one hand, eyes cool, heartbeat flat. That calm expression became his signature. Commentators called it a coming-of-age goal, but for those who knew him, it was typical. Execution without excess. He'd told a friend earlier in the week that if he scored, he wouldn't celebrate wildly because he expected to score. That quiet confidence is what separates him from most teenagers. He knows his ability, but he doesn't feed on attention. He feeds on mastery. Maresca later said, Estevao plays like he's been in England for 5 years.
He can play everywhere. He's so good.
Analysts agreed. His positioning gives Chelsea something unique. He drifts into half spaces where defenders hate to be drawn, operating not quite on the touchline, not quite central. When he moves, others follow. Gusto overlapping, Enzo timing the through ball, Palmer finding the pocket. Estevao coordinates it all with invisible strings. His dribbling remains hypnotic, low center of gravity, lightning acceleration, but always controlled. He'll jog a moment, invite pressure, then burst past 2 markers before anyone reacts. It's the same stop-start artistry that made Ronaldinho unplayable. Yet, Estevao's version is built for efficiency. Every flick and feint serves purpose, not flair for its own sake. Even defenders like Andy Robertson have admitted that the hardest part isn't his pace, it's reading his rhythm. He changes stride length mid-run, making every approach unpredictable. And when the finish comes, it's clinical. That strike against Liverpool looked simple because he'd removed all chaos from the moment. Awareness, timing, precision, that's the quiet genius at work. After that night, pundits started shifting their tone. They stopped asking if he'd adapt to the Premier League and started wondering how long it would take before he dominated it.
Chelsea fans, mark my word, Estevao will win the Ballon d'Or in few years' time. This kid is not normal at all. This boy play football like he's on cheat code.
His composure under pressure became the new symbol of Brazil's next generation. No drama, just dominance. And when he boarded the flight to join Brazil a week later, even the veterans in the squad knew they were getting something special. That composure, they would soon discover, wasn't staying in London. It was about to lift an entire nation. October 10th, 2025, Seoul World Cup Stadium radiates under the floodlights, a sea of yellow shirts thundering to a rhythm older than the sport itself. Brazil 5, South Korea 0, and the name on every commentator's lips is no longer Neymar, Vinicius, or Rodrigo. It's the teenager from France. 2 goals, both different in style, both the same in intent. The first, a perfect one-touch finish after a diagonal sprint through 3 defenders. The second, a perfect curling strike that bent so naturally it looked choreographed. 90 minutes of complete control from a player who'd barely finished unpacking his Chelsea bags. What stunned spectators most wasn't the execution, it was the poise. Wearing Brazil's number 20, Estevao moved like he'd belonged there for years. Tite's successor used him not as a traditional winger, but as an inside forward, drifting between the right half space and the central channel. Opponents had no clue whether he'd drive wide or cut into the arc of midfield. He combined the elasticity of a street footballer with the discipline of a European playmaker. Whenever he touched the ball, Brazil's tempo changed, faster when he wanted space, slower when he needed control. Analysts started drawing inevitable comparisons. Rodrigo, the silky link man from Madrid, plays with smooth technique and graceful touches, yet lacks Estevao's raw acceleration. Lamine Yamal in Barcelona dazzles with flair at the same age, but leans on one foot. Estevao strikes fluidly with both. Neymar once embodied the Brazilian spirit of flair and freedom, but where Neymar pursued spectacle, Estevao hunts precision. He doesn't dance around opponents for applause, he dismantles them for purpose. And when talks turns to comparisons with Lionel Messi, it's not about legacy, it's about geometry. Both share that economical movement, the low posture, the sense that their minds have already simulated every outcome before the defender shifts his weight. Brazilian commentators began calling him O Príncipe, the prince, the next heir to their lineage of artistry, but rewired for a new era. In the Madrid years, style defined success. In London, substance rules. Estevao unites both ideas. His dual-footed balance makes pressing him pointless. Show him to his right, he cuts left. Force him inside, he plays the killer pass through. It's football logic reversed. His unpredictability breaks tactical systems rather than tricks individually, leaving defenders chasing patterns that no longer apply. What made that South Korea match historic wasn't just the scoreline, it was how the team morphed around him. Vinicius drifted narrower, finding more freedom as Estevao stretched the right flank. Rodrigo linked deeper, orchestrating transitions he couldn't before. For the first time since 2014, Brazil looked truly balanced, powered not by fireworks but by fluent coordination. When the final whistle blew, Thiago Silva, now part of the coaching staff, walked straight to Estevao and whispered, "Enjoy this calm, you'll need it." It was a passing of the torch, quiet but unmistakable. Reporters wanted to know how he remained unmoved by the noise. He simply said, "It's just football. If you train the right way, moments repeat." That line spread across Brazilian media overnight, not arrogance, discipline. At 18, he had no entourage, no flashy celebrations, only a code. His teammates noticed. In training, his intensity reset the standard. He pressed harder, recovered cleaner, and talked less. Senior players responded instinctively to that calm authority. So, when people say he reminded them of Neymar, others corrected them. Neymar created movement through chaos. Estevao brings order through movement. One sought attention, the other, attention naturally follows. He's less a showman, more an engineer, the quiet genius redesigning Brazilian football's blueprint. Across Europe, pundits started referring to him as the first truly modern Brazilian forward. Two-footed, data-backed, structure-friendly, yet still playing with heart. The old cliches of samba nostalgia no longer fit. Estevao was proof that Brazilian purpose and European precision could coexist, and maybe even evolve. By the end of that international game, he wasn't just Chelsea's future, he was Brazil's present. And as he walked off the pitch in Seoul, media from Madrid to Munich scrambled to update their scouting reports. The Wonderkid nobody talked about had just announced himself to the world without saying a word. Estevao's rise isn't just the story of another prodigy, it's the redefinition of what a Brazilian superstar looks like. Where past generations leaned on flair, he adds calculation. Where others celebrated instinct, he studies control. That duality, art and intellect, makes his progress feel inevitable. If he's this efficient at 18, imagine the 7 years ahead. Champions League nights, major finals, new records. The quiet genius from França might soon turn inevitability into legacy. Maybe the reason nobody talks about him is because by the time they start, he'll already be gone. Too quick, too good, too far ahead.